Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Beauty Beyond the Looks. And this is a video I've been wanting to make about basically, as you guys might see in the title, how does it feel to have a child with a deformity? And that has been a very hard walk to have for my husband and I, and it has been challenging in every possible way. You know, I can tell you guys a little bit of the story, how it all happened, or how the process of receiving the news was, you know. And honestly, I hope this video probably I hope it works as a blessing for some of you out there. If you're probably going through the same thing I might be going through, or that I went through, or that I am still currently going through. Yes, my daughter Honey, if you guys saw the previous videos, there's so many different kinds of people that seem to watch my videos. Some of them are strangers, some of them are friends, some of them are family, so it's different kinds of people, you know. So I'm really making this video possibly for someone who might be going through the same experience. And if you have something to offer to me as an advice, feel free to go ahead and comment. But for us, in our experience, is what I would like to share, and possibly someone who is about to go through the same experience where their child isn't born yet, but they've been told, oh, your child might have this or has this and has that and blah blah blah, you know. And sometimes doctors can be very cruel when they tell you this information, and that was basically our experience. When we were living in Nevada, my husband and I, and when we went to get an ultrasound, I believe we got 2 ultrasounds, and then on the second one is where they told us, your midwife is going to give you the results later on when you come back in a month or something like that. I don't remember if it was a month or 2 months. And I was like, the results? Well, what do you mean? They already gave us the results. They told us it was going to be a girl, and she's this big, and la la la, you know. And I was like, the results, that's a little bit, you know, like, you get a little bit worried, a little bit of fear inside of you. And sure enough, you know, a few weeks later, the midwife calls us. She doesn't even wait for us to arrive months later. I believe it was a month or 2 months later. Sorry about that, my baby girl is watching TV. And so anyways, the point is that they told us basically the pregnancy is high risk, and that she was seen as a child who potentially may have club feet, they said. But they were like, we're going to put you at a high risk pregnancy, and we're gonna get more ultrasounds, and we want to do more testing, and we want to know why does she have club feet, because it is not something that is genetic in our family. It's not something that has been passed on or anything like that in our immediate family, neither from neither side, you know, my husband's side or my side. So it was like, you know, when she called us to give us the news, I honestly felt devastated. I didn't even know what that was. They said that they saw that our daughter had club feet. I felt devastated. I started crying. I couldn't even talk anymore. I couldn't even, I basically left the midwife hanging on the phone. I was just like broken. I felt a sense of guilt and fear inside of me. It just fell over me, you know. And I didn't know, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to, we hadn't even necessarily even, we had given the news that we were pregnant. We were hiding it for a while because so many things happened during the first, you know, 3 months of pregnancy that that I thought I was probably gonna lose the child, because it was my first one. And usually women lose their first child, is what people tell you, you know. So I didn't want to get excited until everyone, I'm pregnant, and there's just so many things that went along with that. But anyways, so imagine then being told we need to do further testing. We need to know what's wrong with her. We need to find out maybe she has some kind of Down syndrome that is provoking this, and it's better for us to be aware if she has it, because that way if she lives through the pregnancy, and then we want to know how long her life might be by the time she is born, basically, is what they were telling me, you know. So they took me to another, and they also said, and we found crystals around her heart and all these things. They were like, maybe she might have spinal bifida or something like that. They were saying all these horrible things that my daughter might have, right? So of course I was like, what? Like, you know, I finally went to the ultrasound for high-risk pregnancies, and then they said, you know, if you don't do these testings where they want to like poke through your stomach to get fluid out of her spinal cord, they were like, it's very risky, it's very dangerous, but it's better that you know now if she's going to have Down syndrome or not. They told me there's 3 forms of Down syndrome, and one of them, when they're born with that form of Down syndrome, they might die right away, especially because we see that she has crystals around her heart. So that means that she might die right away. She might have this kind of Down syndrome where those kids have a really short lifespan. So a lot of moms don't want to go through with the pregnancy if their child is going to have this kind of Down syndrome. And I honestly forget the names. I am sorry. I don't even want to know the names anymore. Like, I don't even want to be necessarily informed about it, because when I was getting myself informed, I was getting more paranoid. I was getting excited. I was getting all these things, and my husband, thank the Lord that he was so supportive. He's like, because since it was COVID, they wouldn't let him in the room with me for these ultrasounds and these testings. So it was up to me to make the decisions if I wanted to do this or not. And my husband has said, no, we don't need to. If she has Down syndrome, so be it, you know, we'll just face everything as it comes, you know. So when they said, are you sure you don't want to do that testing, because, you know, you could just end this pregnancy and you don't have to go through with it. Some kids are just born with, some kids are not born, sorry, some kids are just not properly formed. And if you can, you know, end the pregnancy now, it'll be better for you. You can have kids, you can have other normal kids later on. Like I said, doctors could be really cruel when they give you these pieces of information. I thought that was the cruelest thing I've ever heard. I almost felt like I was in a room full of demons telling me cold-hearted things. You know, I felt awful. And when I was able to text my husband, I was like, they're saying this and that. They're asking me if I want to do these testings, and if she possibly has any form of Down syndrome. I could just end the pregnancy, because it is really hard to keep a child, to raise a child with Down syndrome, any form of Down syndrome, they were saying. So some kids just come defective, and some women want to end the pregnancy, is what they were saying. I said I don't want no testing. The lady that was giving me the results of the ultrasound was like, when she is born, since you don't want to do other forms of testing, you're going to have a cardiologist there, a neurologist there, all these kinds of people. We're going to take the baby away from you. We're going to have to do all these tests. We're going to have to find out if she has this, and that, blah, blah, blah. And then, and if she's born with the kind of Down syndrome that we're telling you, she might die right away. So these are things that you need to know, you need to expect. So my husband was like, having in the chills, just saying this, like, you guys don't understand. I was like fighting anxiety, depression, fear, guilt, all at the same time. But right now I'm actually able to talk about it and not cry. For the sake of this video, so I know a lot of you women are probably facing the same situation that I had to face, which was hearing these awful pieces of information being told to you really cruelly, right? Really cold-heartedly, like, boom, this is what it is. And or what it could be, you know. And so my husband was like, we're out of here. things weren't even really working out for us in Nevada. It was like we weren't doing financially good. We've only been married 3 years, so you know we were getting a little bit like maybe we should move states and we should find out which is a more family oriented state anyways. So we're up here in Idaho. We found a really remarkable, awesome midwife who is also a herbalist. Um, is informed in nutrition like I am, and those are things I just personally prefer. Anyways, the point is, we went with her. We gave her the pieces of information that they told us in Vegas, and she said, you know what, we will just go through with it. You know, a lot of times kids seem like they have some kind of deformity in the womb, but when they come out, they a lot of times their legs are not even done forming yet. So we went on with that. You know, we're asking for prayer for from all these people all over the world, if I can say. You know, so sure enough, you know, the birth story is probably a whole other video I can make. That story is very interesting, how God was totally present there. But anyways, the point is, my daughter does have club feet. She was born with club feet. Her feet are in like this, and then instead of being like a normal foot like this, they're like folded, and then they were a little bit twisted up. So apparently she is an atypical case. She's not a typical case, but she's an atypical case. So yeah, we are in love with her. She is so cute. She is awesome. The only thing is, you know, we can't leave her like that. You know, she has to go through treatments. We had put her with a doctor. We had to travel to Boise. So we were taking her there almost since her birth. Like literally 7 days later after her birth, her treatments began. You know, she was in cast all the time. And it was a really hard time for us. And then at 4 weeks old, they did her first surgery. They put her under complete anesthesia, so you can imagine how hard those moments were when your kid does not respond well. After 2 days, we had to go to the emergency room because she was still not herself and she wasn't eating. And it was a really hard, scary time. And also she didn't respond well to those casts and the surgery, so everything seemed like it was going downhill, and I felt awful as a parent to be putting her through this stuff, but I was told it was for her good. So I was like, you know what, I can't handle this is too much. And they wanted to do a second surgery again. She already had 8 castings by then, and apparently they're only supposed to have 4 to 6 castings, and then they give them the brace to finish off, and the brace is just to hold the feet in the proper position. Well, no, her specialist wanted to do a second surgery and then not see her for another 2 weeks, and then see if the bracing will begin. So I was too afraid. I was like, I don't want to put her under anesthesia anymore. She didn't respond well. Her not being seen for casting, she's growing too fast. Her cast, she outgrows the cast. It's not working out. I said, I need to have a second opinion. So I found a hospital in Utah. So now we have to travel to Utah for a second opinion. And sure enough, we find another person, another specialist who also wants to do various testings. And it has been very challenging, you know, where they're trying to figure out what is causing her feet to be like that. They think it's a nerve problem in her brain, or they think maybe it could be something in her spine. They don't even know, because they don't understand why she hasn't responded to treatments like other club feet kids have. So as you can see, this process has been really long and really difficult, and it has been very challenging for all of us. We're first-time parents with our newborn who has this condition, Nobody in our family has experiences, so we're like, we don't know what to do. Who do we turn to for advice? Who do we turn to for, um, you know, to help us, to lift us up, to guide us? We're pretty much walking through this valley like blindly. I was doing lots of research to find out what all these things were. There's different kinds of methods that could be, apparently there's like 2 or 3 different kinds of methods to treat club feet, because there's different cases of club feet. But her case, her feet are really stubborn. Her feet are really rigid, not stubborn. They're just really rigid. So, anyways, I understand that there's other women. People like to say some people have it worse, or it could be worse, or it could get worse. So you should be grateful, things like that. And you know what? We appreciate the comments of people trying to help us feel better, but a lot of times that doesn't help, because that feels like if people are insensitive to your situation. We trust that God is the one leading us. Yes, it's costly to have to go through all this, and there's so many things that we wish we could have to make things more easier for her. But it is what it is, and I honestly can tell you, if you're a mom who is being told different things like this, I would say trust God through it. Let God handle it. God is the one who is forming the child inside of you. And yes, honestly, for a while I felt mad. I felt mad at God for allowing this to happen. I felt mad because I would think, God, you were the one in charge to form her. Why didn't you form her perfectly like all the other kids? I even thought, there's people out there doing drugs, smoking, drinking alcohol while they're pregnant, and their child is born normal. And I'm over here eating the healthiest I could possibly eat, drinking the best vitamins I could possibly find, and my child was born that way. And honestly, I felt an anger towards God, and I was like, God, why don't you just heal her? Why don't you just do this and do that? Trying to tell God what to do. And honestly, it has been a very challenging walk. I can say everyone has told me it's not your fault. It's not something that you could have prevented. It's not like I could go in there and like form my child. Make sure that there's not something that we can necessarily handle. The thing is that God is in control, and God is in charge, and God is always good. Even through this challenging times, I've seen how God always provides, even when we feel like we're not going to make it through, we're not going to have this financial burden resolved, and God always somehow helps out. He always comes through. And our daughter, they wanted to basically have me in the pregnancy, have me basically murder her because we don't know what's wrong with her and she has club feet. It was very challenging, and I am so grateful that my husband and my family was there telling me, be strong, God can heal her, God can make sure, even in the case if God decided to take her, it was his decision. It was his child to begin with, and I always felt like this was his child to begin with, because I wasn't even asking for a child. It was really hard for me to even get pregnant, and the Lord was there. So I can tell you for sure, trust God and trust that he will be there walking with you, guiding you, leading you. And I know it could be scary. I know you could be mad at God. And let me tell you, just don't curse God. If anything, lean on him. Even if you're mad, come to him and tell him that you're mad. Tell him what you're mad about. Tell him that you think it's unfair, you think all these things, but you know what, ultimately we really don't deserve anything in this life. Like everything he gives us is out of mercy, out of grace, out of compassion, out of love. Everything he gives us is literally out of his abundant grace and mercy, and we don't deserve this child that I have. I didn't do anything right to deserve it. I feel like she's a gift from God, and she is the best thing I could have ever had a hold of in my life. um I love her to pieces. She's the sweetest little girl. I feel like in a sense I have to protect her from society, because people could be so judgmental, and people could be like, what is wrong with her? It was what did you do? People think like the parents are the sinners, and you did something that provoked that on her, and people could just be so cruel, and I can just tell you, be encouraged. Trust the Lord to be there for you, to guide you, to lead you to the right doctors. If a doctor feels to you like, if you feel like insecure with a particular doctor, don't be afraid to find someone else. Read the reviews on the doctors you're going with. Trust me, because you could be saving your child's life. There's always other alternatives. There's always other forms of studies that have been done, even in other countries. There's the French method for people with club feet. There's all kinds of different. In Singapore, they have another kind of method. It's so interesting to see how different doctors in different places come up with different solutions, if you want to call it that. But the point is that God leads these people to do research, to do studies, to, I guess if you want to say experiments. I mean, it sounds awful, but that is the truth. They're doing experiments on people who are willing to put their child through this, and then they realize it worked, and their child is in a better condition, in a better state. They have better possibilities of achieving more, like your normal human, if I can say that. I know it sounds probably really awful, but I know how you feel. I have a child like that, and they're still trying to find out if there's something wrong in her head, in her nervous system, and we're just praying and trusting the Lord that she will be okay, that she's fine, because she really acts like a normal baby. So I hope that someone is encouraged out there. Trust the Lord. If you want a second opinion, get a second opinion. Don't be afraid, and don't feel bad about switching doctors and moving states. And honestly, do whatever you have to for that little life. That little life will be a blessing one day. They'll have a strong testimony to share with someone. You never know. The child that you're carrying, it could be a huge blessing to someone one day, or to a whole country, or to a whole city, or to your town. You never know what kind of special child you're holding that is going to be a big blessing one day to someone else, and you're the carrier of that child. So take pride and take courage and say, I will care for this child, because it's a gift from the Lord himself. He gave you that. A lot of women can't have kids, and a lot of women wish they would have had kids, and you're holding one, or you're carrying one, and that child is really special, and it is a gift to this world, and to your world as well, and to your family and your group of friends, or the group of friends that they'll make one day. They'll be a blessing. Just trust the Lord and leave it all in his hands, because ultimately God is good. God is in control, and when he's willing, and everything happens in his perfect timing. A lot of things do not happen in our timing. Why? Because there's things that we have to learn through certain processes. And right now I'm like, God, just teach me what I need to know and get me over this process. But no, the human process is a lot slower. We need time to reconsider, to change our mind, to change our heart. Sometimes we have we create these hearts of stone where we're so mad, we're angry, and God needs to walk us through that, you know, to heal that heart. So be encouraged, and you want to comment below if you have something encouraging to say. If you have something awful to say, it's on you if you want to say that. But I would say this video was intended to be hopefully encouraging to someone who could possibly be going through the same thing. I know what you're probably feeling and all the thoughts that go through your mind. You know, you probably have guilt and anger, but I will repeat it once and once again. Trust the Lord, and He will lead you, and He will get you through it. So thank you for watching, and whoever it is that's watching, I hope it was a blessing. And if not, I still have a lot to learn. I still have a lot to walk through, and soon enough my daughter herself will probably give you the story when she's able to walk and run and talk. She will share the story with the world, how God has healed her. And for now, we're believing, we're trusting, you know, soon enough she will be able to walk and run and do everything. And like I said, thanks again for watching, and have a blessed day.